So now we're going to go over building your store. So firstly, you need to actually create a brand name. This is going to be your brand identity, and brand identity is very important. It can be a simple name, mostly short and simple and memorable and meaningful based on your selected niche. These can all work. Now remember, most high tier brand names like Nike or Google are very short phrases, okay? These are those big brands that you think of and are very memorable. You can use name generators online too to help you based on keywords or themes and ideas that you have in your head. Those can be useful, and I've used those in the past. Now, when you think of a brand name, it's advisable on Shopify or wherever else you buy your domain. I'd recommend on Shopify to type in that brand name and see which domains are available. If the .com domain is available or the .shop domain, which is a good one too, this is usually the most trusted options, then use that brand name. But if they're not available, try and think of something else so you can have a good website address along with it. So payment options with your store are also really important. PayPal is useful for quick payments, and PayPal is something that people already trust and people are already comfortable with using. So if they don't trust your store, then they'll trust actually paying with PayPal because they know that it's not some Chinese phishing website that'll steal all their credentials. You need to verify your PayPal or set up a PayPal business account to then prevent temporary payment holds, which is very common at the start when you acquire large sums of money on a personal account. Credit card and debit card payments are probably going to be the highest percentage of your payments. These are key for the adult demographic who want to pay on a card, and this is going to make up for mostly half or more of your sales. You can use Shopify payments or Stripe, which are two payment processors you can use, and these will be dependent on your locale. So if you're in a certain country, one of these will probably be available. These are payment processors that accept things like card, they'll accept Google Pay and Apple Pay, and so many different methods of payment that people can use on your store. I'd recommend using one of these along with also using PayPal too. Now, two key essential apps that we're going to need when we set up ads are TikTok Pixel and Facebook Pixel. Okay, if you're confused what these are, you install them via the Shopify apps portion of the Shopify dashboard. These track customer behavior and the actions on your website and your store, and they give real-time data on your ad campaigns and how people interacted with your ads. These are crucial if you want to actually track ad performance and ad analytics. Also, Google Analytics provides a lot of customer data, such as visiting customers' demographic, interest, and their shopping behavior too. Now, the core app, which we mentioned a few moments ago actually, is DS's. This is the core app for automating the AliExpress order process for order fulfillment to mass fulfill a high number of orders without doing them manually. Other suppliers I mentioned earlier in this video that you may switch to later have their own similar methods built into their service and their own respective apps. So when you do shift to those, you can integrate DS's with those or use the app's features that they already have. Now, to offer order tracking information to your customers, which is very important, I'd recommend using the app called Aftership. Aftership is really useful. It will give them shipping updates throughout the process. This in turn builds trust. It reduces customer service notification spams via emails and live chat on your website where they ask where their product is, and it makes them generally more patient with the long shipping times they're going to expect with the dropshipping model. Now, for email marketing, you can use an app called Klaviyo. This helps with conversions. It sends emails to people to ping them and remind them who've abandoned their shopping carts. So if they went on and they added a product and then clicked off your website, this will capture their email and then notify them that they could still make the purchase if they want to. Now, SMS Bump is a very similar Shopify app. It does exactly the same, but it uses SMS instead. So if they type in their mobile phone number during a purchase or a sign up, it'll help people finish their checkouts by sending them an SMS text message to tell them to finish their order. So these are just two to improve conversion rates and try and make some more sales, which you'll usually lose. Now, one really great all-in-one app that you should use on Shopify is called Vitals. So this has quite a lot of features with it. This is an all-in-one marketing solution, and it lets you import AliExpress product reviews directly to your product's pages on your store. It's good for upselling. It offers product bundles and discounts. It helps make store improvements based off user interactions. Lets you include recently viewed or related products to customers. It offers a currency converter for foreign users, an inline Instagram feed. It adds better add to cart buttons and trust badges and payment logos to your page, and it also adds things like a countdown timer or limited stocks feature, which increases anxiety about the perceived scarcity of your product to try and encourage customers to actually make the final order. I wouldn't recommend using these, but sometimes they can work to make more sales. This is basically the best app you're going to use to improve conversions because it has so many features to do so. Now, there's a lot of key product pages which you need to actually set up when you're building out your store. These are to build customer trust and make your brand website generally more reputable reputable. And these are the home page, which is going to be your landing page where you show off your brand and try and capture the people's attention as soon as they come on your website. You need the About Us page and the FAQ. This shows information about your company, what your brand identity is and what you do and where your company is. And then your FAQ to answer the most frequently asked questions of people regarding your products, shipping times, and just general information that people will usually spam support for. So this is a great place to reduce traffic to your support pages. Then you have your product pages, which are just basically your funnels to your products. You have legal policies, shipping policies, and order tracking. So you can add shipping policies and order tracking via the Aftership app, which I recommended a few months ago. This just adds more professional and functional pages from the app rather than the ones you can make without it. If you use the app, it actually adds real logistics and tracking information into those pages. And I'd also recommend adding a terms of service page too. There's some generators within the Shopify dashboard that generates the terms of service and policies for you, and then you can just copy and paste those onto the pages for customers to read. I typically be very transparent about all of your policies and all of your long shipping times as well, because that further increases the consumer trust with your store. Now, consider adding some kind of 30-day money-back guarantee or information on refunds and returns during this period to build customer trust. I'd really recommend that, guys. And also add a contact us form and potentially a live chat form too. You can then reply to people's requests in real time when they're asking you questions about the order or how to order or things you haven't covered, and then you can use those questions and put them on your FAQ page to reduce the amount of requests you get. This lets people know that at least if they do have a problem, they have someone to contact, a real person or a real email or live chat where they can talk to someone to reduce their anxiety and have less of a feeling that they could potentially be scammed, right, if something goes wrong. That's super important. The product page itself also needs to be extremely well optimized to actually convert a sale. This is where your ad video or your viral video will direct users straight to. If your sales conversions are poor, you need to check what your page is perhaps lacking or how you've built your page to improve it, because sometimes it's not always the product, sometimes it's actually your website layout and the marketing. Now we get to product photos on your product pages. Product photos need to look really professional, okay? You can't use cheap photos, you can't use bad quality photos, poorly lit photos. Most of the time the product photos on AliExpress will already be good enough to use and they look great, but consider using an image editor like Photoshop if they have any Chinese text or logos or brand names on the product images, because you need to remove those, otherwise people will know that your product is either a cheap Chinese product or you're reselling something or it's an obvious dropshipping store. We don't want people to know that when they just jump on your page, because it'll make them trust you less. So make sure you don't have any Chinese text, Chinese logos or images on your images, or any ugly watermarks which makes your product page look bad. Try to have a combination of clean product images with a white background and also some images of products in real life, so people using it and showing off its functionality, and it kind of lets those customers imagine the product in their own hands or them using it themselves if they see someone else using it in a picture, right? And try to be consistent with the product colors and images, so it's not just a multicolored layout like a rainbow. That's not really attractive to the eye. And make sure the product angles in the shots are not too different to each other as well. Now, the pricing of the product itself, it needs to be competitive and it needs to match the previously mentioned criteria and the markup percentages, which I mentioned a little bit earlier in this course. You can also use a feature when you create a product on the product page on Shopify called Compare at Price. Compare at Price is basically a value you can type in which shows what your competitor's price could have been, and also it looks like you've reduced your price on a discount because it crosses out the compare at price and it shows your normal price value. So you can make your product look much cheaper and use it to your advantage to make the price look like it's on a discount. You can also experiment with shipping prices. Free shipping is something you could do, but it's not also always necessary either. But try and always keep it at least affordable, around $4.99 if possible, because high shipping times may put customers off. So the product description itself needs to be extremely well written. If someone has a bad, poorly aligned description, which is not really laid out very correctly, then they'll be turned off the product as a whole. Think about what would you actually read? What would you look at? Would you read just a massive copy and pasted block of text or a huge story paragraph like a novel on a product page, or would you just click off or get bored? If it doesn't encourage you to read it, then no customer is going to read it either. What I'd recommend is have a general description of the product. You want to have the main benefit of it, the main core benefit and the value that it adds, and then a bullet point list of maybe 1 or 2 lines each bullet point of the 4 to 5 strengths of that product. This description is always going to be where you play on the insecurity or offer a solution to their problem and kind of make it a personal experience and describe it to them and why they should buy it and why it's going to be useful to them. Copywriting skills help extremely here, which is why I'd recommend to enroll in some kind of copywriting course or watch some free resources on YouTube on how to get started with copywriting. I'll most likely release a free course on that too in the future. You can also look at your competitors' stores for inspiration too and ideas on how to lay out your product descriptions. If you use some of the methods earlier in this video on how to find those stores, you can then see how they've written their descriptions, and if they're optimized really well or they align to the tips which I just gave you, then you can either copy it and rewrite it or do something very similar to those. And if all else fails and you just have no ideas, go on Amazon, try and find your product on Amazon, and if it is, look at how they've laid out the description. Amazon FBA sellers, individual sellers, and companies usually have really well optimized Amazon descriptions. And also reviews, aka the product reviews, need to be imported. This creates consumer trust, so using a plugin like I initially mentioned will allow you to import these directly from AliExpress. It's also moral to do this because you're selling exactly the same product as the one being sold on AliExpress, so the reviews are of course honest and related to the same product. To do this, you can import a product from AliExpress straight to your page using the Vitals app that I mentioned before, or you can also use a free product reviews importer like Ali Reviews, also works as well. And try to import a few bad reviews too. This increases the consumer trust because no real product, good or bad, has 100% positive reviews. Remember that, even the best products in the world have a few negative reviews or experiences. Add maybe 1 or 2 or 3 negative reviews as well, and then they know that those are real reviews that you haven't just artificially put on yourself or handpicked and deleted the bad ones, because people aren't going to trust your brand if you're only showing the good sides of it. Try to keep the overall review star though at close to 5, maybe 4.6, 4.7. Only have a few negatives in there so they can just click them and have a look at them, but do keep mostly positive of course. And also use a mix of text-based and image-based reviews. You may have to pay for the plugins to allow you to import the image-based reviews, but this is going to also be really helpful. Try and put the ones with images at the top so people can easily see those first. Potential customers come into your store who look at the reviews of customers who've already bought the product and they're holding it in the hand or showing an image of how it actually looks is going to make them like to see that and potentially think about ordering it when it looks the same as advertised.